Hi everyone and welcome back to the George Collection. I'm Rachel Rightside Blonde. This is just a warning. The language in this episode is a little colorful. So if that's not your thing, check me on the next episode. Now that we've got that out of the way, this video has been surfacing. A lot's happened since the last episode of George Collection, and this video of Donald Trump saying exactly how he feels and exactly how a lot of Americans feel is making the rounds.
The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
You never have to wonder where Donald Trump stands on an issue. He will let you know. Another video I've seen making the rounds is a scene from a movie, and I knew I had seen part of that picture or movie or something before, and lo and behold, it was from a George magazine cover. It was Edward Norton's Shocking Vision of America. He was on the October 1999 issue, not just any issue of George, but the 3rd anniversary cover, the conspiracy issue. This is one of my favorite issues because it has amazing articles in this one in particular. They're all amazing, but this one is really, really amazing. But this scene from that movie is making the rounds.
We need to open our eyes. There's over 2 million illegal immigrants bedding down in this state tonight. This state spent $3 billion last year on services for those people who had no right to be here in the first place. $3 billion. $400 million just to lock up a bunch of illegal immigrant criminals who only got into this country because the fucking INS decided it's not worth the effort to screen for convicted felons. Who gives a shit? Our government doesn't give a shit. Our border policy is a joke. So is anybody surprised that south of the border they're laughing at us? Laughing at our laws?
Yeah.
Every night, thousands of these parasites stream across the border like some fucking piñata exploded. Don't laugh! There's nothing funny going on here. This is about your life and mine. It's about decent, hardworking Americans falling through the cracks and getting the shaft because their government cares more about the constitutional rights of a bunch of people who aren't even citizens of this country. On the Statue of Liberty, it says, give me you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. Well, it's Americans who are tired and hungry and poor. And I say until you take care of that, close the fucking book. Because we're losing. We're losing our right to pursue our destiny. We're losing our freedom so that a bunch of fucking foreigners can come in here and exploit our country. And this isn't something that's going on far away. This isn't something that's happening places we can't do anything about it. It's happening right here, right in our neighborhood, right in that building behind you. Archie Miller ran that grocery store since we were kids here. Dave worked there, Mike worked there. He went under, and now some fucking Korean owns it who fired these guys and is making a killing because he hired 40 fucking border jumpers. I see this shit going on and I don't see anybody doing anything about it, and it fucking pisses me off.
Don't you find it interesting that basically everything he just said is what Donald Trump said and what most Americans feel and think right now towards illegal immigration? Don't you think it's interesting that that's a neo-Nazi movie? And so by putting that in there, and it's a neo-Nazi saying that, they're implying that that's a neo-Nazi talking point to want safe borders and to not want illegal immigrants in our country, to not want our money to be spent on illegal immigrants when Americans are suffering. If you've ever wondered why you get called a white nationalist or a neo-Nazi, it's because of this stuff right here. Hollywood, social media, putting out actual sensible arguments, but having it come from a neo-Nazi in a movie. It's no different to me than when the CIA called people conspiracy theorists who had the audacity to ask questions. It's the labeling, and it's very subtle. It's human nature to look for patterns, so when they hear that talking point from a neo-Nazi in a movie, and then they hear Donald Trump say it, oh my gosh, even though every American probably can agree at least to some degree of that, it's a neo-Nazi talking point. It's a white nationalist talking point. I'm not going to read the entire article about Edward Norton because it's mostly just about the movies that he's been in and a little bit about him, but there's one quote I did want to read, and it said, Norton declares, "But I do think American History X is an attempt to explore the specific sort of tragedy of lives dominated and destroyed by anger and hate." But is it wrong to be angry that a lot of our money is being diverted to people who aren't even legal citizens of the country? Is it wrong to hate that? In one of Tony Blankley's articles, not in this issue, but in another one, he specifically talks about hate and how you can't punish hate, you can only punish actions. In particular, Tony Blankley was talking about hate crimes, about the young man who was gay and got murdered, I believe it was in Wyoming, and President Clinton wanted to put in a hate crime bill. And what Tony Blankley was saying was that we already have the law that you can't murder somebody, so why do we have to have a hate crime bill on top of it? If the fact that the murderer would go to jail for the rest of his life didn't scare him enough to not commit the murder, do we really think a hate crime law would suddenly scare him more to not commit the crime? All of this to say, you can't punish somebody's thoughts, you can only punish their actions. But if you're able to label their thoughts and label the way they feel about things as Nazi or white supremacist, it certainly makes it easier to shun them from the rest of society now, doesn't it? And no one, as we see on the cover of this magazine, does that better than Hollywood. That does it for this episode of the George Collection. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.
Of this extraordinary magazine, George, which is a hoot of a magazine. I thought you were a lawyer.
I was.
What happened?
Well, we decided, actually taking cue from folks like yourself and you around the 1992 election, that there was an opportunity here to change the definition of a political magazine. Certainly the way Americans were accessing information about politics and politicians was changing. Candidates were appearing on late night talk shows, on talk radio, on sitcoms, and there was a kind of a leveling process, and while the rest of media clearly had caught up with that, we felt that political magazines per se hadn't.
Your mother was a hell of an editor at Doubleday.
That's what I hear.
Would she have liked George?
I think she would have.